Rehab, relapse, redemption. Sandra Bullock in 28 days. A story of falling apart. Oops, sorry. 28 days later isn't just a zombie film. It's a nightmare of survival, isolation, and what humanity becomes when everything is stripped away. Tonight, RetroWatch dives into the outbreak that redefined the undead. This is Zombie Month. This is the Winter Wolf's Den.
Guys, welcome back to Winter Wolf's Den. I'm Winter Wolf. He's King Z. We're moving our zombie month right along on our Retro Watch segment. We just did Zombieland last week. This week, we're going to flip the tone again. We're going back into bleak and serious on another King Z pick. He wanted to do 28 days later.
Because there's no rehab, there's no Sandra Bullock, and this is not 28 days. This is 28 days later. Pure rage and pure terror. That's why I chose 28 days later. It was the introduction of the true fire ant zombie. Fast zombies, because they're not the Walking Dead. They're the walking living infected by the rage virus. They clear the streets of London, and all you have are dead, and those are going to be dead later.
That's all true. That's all true. That was mainly the first 15 minutes of this movie is a bunch of matte paintings and abandoned, blocked off streets for the production to have Cillian Murphy walk around with a bag full of Coke and a bag full of Pepsi. 28 days later, we're back, baby. 28 days later was quite the pick for date night back in 2004 when this came out, for sure. It is relentless. There's nothing cute about it. There's nothing endearing about it. Even the taste of humanity that they give you with the found family bit is kind of bleak at the beginning. Like, they really make you work for it, between the two main characters. And then, they add the father-daughter team later on about the halfway point-ish or so. But there's nothing, this isn't fun to watch in the same way that like Dawn of the Dead is, I don't think. There's just something like you resign yourself to watching something like this. I don't know, is my vibe wrong? Vibe check. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, there's something about watching this one because it shows you how bleak humanity can be. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows when you meet other survivors. You did a taste of that in Dawn of the Dead because you have people like Steve and his girlfriend.
She was all right. I mean, she got chainsawed in half and it wasn't her fault.
Was not her fault. They hit a bump.
Not her fault. They did. Oh, man, you shot him. You shot him in the face.
28 Days is supposed to be bleak. Once it was made by people in England, which England is a very bleak place to begin with. Like, it's like, oh, how was your day? Well, at least I'm not dead today. It's kind of a bleak place. There's not really like a bunch of cheerio. I mean, their thing is like stay calm and carry on.
Carry on. There's a lot of carrying on in this movie because I feel like in going back to watch the other stuff that we've watched on Retro Watch, right? I feel like I got to re-engage in adventure, regardless of the ones that we had just like recovered. When I got back to watch this one, it's kind of like, I don't know if I want to rewatch this. Like, I might be over like the bleak horror stuff, and like I want to stick more with things like The Conjuring, or even stuff that have like a unexpected twist, negative endings, like Sinister or something. Like, I'm always talking about Sinister because they're fun along the way as things unfold. There was nothing fun along the way unfolding in this at all. Now, it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. I want to be very clear about that. But I think my taste in zombie stuff has just changed. Like this, I didn't find this as appealing on the second watch. And I also don't remember this kind of being as slow as it was too. And I know I said relentless because when the bad things happen, they happen hard. But there's a lot of downtime in between some of these segments that come up. And I'm wondering if that was because was it like the director's first effort? And like, we didn't know how to get these things moving. But I feel like there was something about the pacing that didn't jive with me this time around 20 years later.
I think more with the pacing in this one is that they were trying to build up these characters so they could let you down in the future. Like that was the whole thing. I mean, it has one of the most heartbreaking turns ever.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's on my top 3. Yeah, for sure.
Watching him turn off of something that wasn't even his fault.
No, he had a moment of bad impulse control in his lowest moment in the movie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, he finally cracked under the frustration of things not going according to plan and him being chipper and upbeat, spoilers for his daughter, and he wanders a little too close to somewhere he shouldn't, and then a fucking corpse drops a bit of blood in his eye, and then it's over. That was brutal. It hurt.
Yeah,
it hurt. And then
it was Brendan
Jim's
Gleeson at his best.
Yep.
It was one of his
Sure.
best roles. It was my first introduction to Brendan Gleeson as well. I have worked with him on 2 different occasions in films. Great guy overall. Really fun to be around. So if Brendan Gleeson's in a movie, I'm usually going to go see it. So
yeah, no, he was definitely Daddy Bear in the movie for sure. You know what I mean? Like he played that role. He took in Jim and Selena when they were, in mortal peril, at risk to his own daughter. He had a decent setup. One of the things I liked most about the earlier part of the movie there is they have a logical reason for leaving the Hightower fortress that they had built. Like they were running out of water. Later they were going to have to leave and go somewhere else to continue surviving because there hadn't been rain in 2 weeks or whatever. And it's like, who'd have thought in England it hadn't rained in 10 days. So but they have a scene on the rooftop where they argue the different points, the ups and downs of where should we go, should we stay, what do we do? And I'm like, oh, dude, planning and thinking and reasoning. Oh, cool. It's not just bash the brains of every zombie and bit human we come across, even though we have to do that.
Yeah, and the introduction, which is the very beginning of the movie, you see how this rage virus kind of takes hold. They have these monkeys that their whole job strapped down is to watch the most horrific stuff that was ever placed on TV. You're watching human kill human. You're watching nuclear war simulations. You're watching guerrilla warfare. You're watching those films that came out of the Chechnya when the Russians came into Chechnya and was cutting people's heads off with their Bowie knife. That's all they watch, and they took it in, and it changed their DNA, which caused them to have a virus, and they bit people who came there to save these monkeys. And then
I love the part that it was
from there.
I love the part that it was eco weenies that caused this entire outbreak, despite the scientists in the lab being do not open that cage, they'll kill us all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Maybe you want to rethink that. But I love that it was eco weenies and not necessarily big pharma, because I think one of the lines in there, the scientist is explaining, we had to have the virus so we could make the cure. The plot from Mission Impossible 2. Kind of thing. And then one of the eco terrorists is like, oh, it sounds a whole lot like corporate nonsense to me, capitalist dog, or whatever he says. And I'm like, okay, so we get it. Both sides are scumbags, but you assholes open the cage. Maybe you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because it progresses quick. This is like Train to Busan, right? Where if you get bit, you turn in literally less than 10 seconds. There's no long goodbye. It's not later, wait and see. I don't even think they bother going with the trope of, if we cut the hand off that you got bit on, maybe we can stop the flow like Walking Dead did. They're just no, you got to die now. And we see them do that in 2 or 3 occasions. The guy Selena's initially with gets bit in a skirmish, and he looks up at her and he's deer in the headlights because he knows what's coming. Bam, machete to the face. No hesitation. Selena was not meant to be trifled with. Oh, strong female character before 2016. Whoops.
Well written, who had goals and was still vulnerability. She wasn't out there killing 100 zombies by herself and what are you guys waiting for?
Just saying. We were doing that for a while.
Yeah.
Yes, I like the character dynamics there. Jim went on a similar arc too. Did The Walking Dead rip this off with the main character waking up from a coma in the middle of the apocalypse?
Yes.
I don't know if Walking Dead went into print before they made this movie. So that's why I was asking.
I don't know about the comic, but I do know the TV show.
For sure.
The same trope that it was from 28 days later.
I just wonder what the publication date is on Kirkman's Walking Dead #1. It was in the 90s or some shit, and maybe 28 Days borrowed that. But that's the only similarity. Rick Grimes is obviously a sheriff. This dude was a bike messenger who woke up and somehow had survived, which I thought was the one thing I thought was weird about the set dressing for this movie for 28 Days Later is everywhere Jim goes is empty, but it's sterile. There's no bodies in the hospital. There's no blood. There's furniture knocked over and there's trash and there's paper and shit. But it's literally deserted. There's nothing.
And it was probably due to the low budget indie feel that they were going for with this as well. Because I do believe that it was an indie film, low budget. I could pull up some stats here real quick. Let you know all about that.
Yeah, take a peek at that. I'd be curious to know because that caught me off guard. now that we're watching these things with a more critical eye years later, almost 28 years later, pun absolutely intended, I'm looking into those kind of like continuity kind of things where I'm like, if this dude was in a hospital, there's got to be some dead doctors, nurses, other patients, the remnants of a shootout, shell casings, like whatever. There's got to be something in there. Wasn't like dude just woke up butt ass naked on his bed and proceeded to yank out IVs and cardiac monitors and like wander out into the street and then find more of the same, which was absolutely nothing. So I thought that was.
So it was on an $8 million budget.
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty tiny. That's what she said.
Well, for back then, that was actually still pretty good.
Was that robust? Yeah, that might have been robust in because this was what 2004. I think I remember I looked at it. It was 2004. And 20 odd years later, they just did weapons for 38 million. So, almost 5 times the budget 20 years later. That tracks, I guess.
It was released on November 1st, 2022 in the UK and June 27th, 2023 in the United States.
I think you
not
mean
2023, but
03.
02 and 03.
Yeah, gotcha.
On an $8
20 years later.
Budget. And made $82 million in the box office.
Yeah, it crushed. It absolutely crushed the box office for sure. I remember people talking about this. People were talking about this at work. I was still taking a couple of classes in 02 that I needed to finish up. People were talking about this at school, like nonstop. And I'm like, oh, dude, it's crazy. It's like zombies are running around everywhere and tearing shit apart. So I know one of your favorite scenes, we talked about this before we got into making our final picks, is the tunnel scene. I feel like that's a standout scene. If you wanted to kind of talk about that for a few.
Yeah, that's when they're escaping, driving in the car, and then it's like they're trying to get the car going, and they look around like a flat tire. They got a flat tire, and they had to change the tire. That's right. And then they look back, and they just see this great mob of zombies coming, that full sprint. Like before, it'd be like, oh, we got like 6 days to get this done before they did here. This one, you got 6 seconds. You had like Usain Bolt at the front of it, just like, I'm going to track these guys down. And like, it was crazy. I'm like, I was not used to seeing zombies that move like that in any type of movie. Like you have some where they have like little bursts when they're like freshly killed. Yeah. But once they were dead for a while, they all slowed down. This one, you're never dead. You were never dead to get the rage virus. You were a living person, so all your muscle functions are still working. You're just overtaken by the rage, and it swells your brain. So all you know is violence and rage. I've said that like 4 times.
Violence and survival is the instinct, because they're killing to eat you, and that's how the eventual plan that they unveil, in the lore later on, is that they're just waiting to find out how long these things will take to starve to death if we can't kill them all. Because they are still like biologically driven and not like magically or virologically or otherwise.
Yeah.
I love the imagery in that tunnel scene too, because they play it slick. They don't just give you the zombies. They're changing the tire and it's all hunky dory. We're a pit crew, la-da-da, Hannah changed this and that. And then the rats come through and they're like, dude, what the fuck is all this rat bullshit? And then Selena's like, they're running from the infected.
Yeah.
And then Cillian Murphy cranks his voice up about 3 octaves and he's all like, Hannah, hurry, they're coming. They're coming. Like, dude, terror in his voice. Kudos to him. And then they still don't give you zombies. They give you shadows on the wall.
Yeah.
Growing and getting closer. And then they don't give you zombies. They give you quick cuts of things running through spaces between cars that you can't see because it's so close. You just see something shoot right through a gap.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're there literally as they're getting in the car and driving away. And Jim's like, fuck you tossers. And he's woo.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I like that. But it was a great scene.
So the first time we actually see the zombies is when he stumbles into the chapel with his pets. Yep. He's still in his hospital gown. Yep. He goes into the chapel, but you don't see how fast they are because they're kind of like sleeping. Like if they're not hunting, they're sleeping. And the way they moved was like almost like normal zombies ish, like in a closed space. But when you got them out onto the open road, it was another story. I was like, this is crazy.
Dude, it was nuts because that scene you're talking about too, he gets into the church and he's on like an upper level looking down, right? So he sees piles of what we all think are bodies, sleeping where the pews would be, the benches, for people that don't know, right? And then when he calls hello or something, One of them pokes its head up like a fucking prairie dog, like, and you're like, why are you looking like that? And then there's another one and another. It was like 3 or 4. And he's like, that's cool. I'm gonna go somewhere else. And then the priest comes in from the level he's on, and he's clearly not with us at this point. But what does Jim know? He just woke up out of a coma into an apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, Father, so whatever, this and that. And then Father doesn't break right out into a sprint at him yet either. But he's got the red eye. He's got the arms are starting to reach.
He starts snaring a little bit. You see him a little twitchy,
a little herky jerky. Jim winds up, belts him with the soda bag, and then like a good Catholic boy, he's like, oh, Father, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Oh my God. He's actually butthurt that in the middle of the apocalypse as it's unfolding is he had to whack this guy, this priest, who was probably going to kill him. But then it's like you said, Jim bolts, to his credit, he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm go. He gets outside, and as he's making his getaway, we do see, like you said, the first few of them on open ground, and they're fucking moving.
Yeah.
Because that's what he bumps into Selena and I'm just going to call him Mark or Kyle, whatever his name was. I don't even remember. The guy that she has to kill. Like, they show up Molotovs. And then the other thing that hit me was, dude, these effing things don't even stop when they're on fire. Like, they have to actually burn to death first. Like, the fire doesn't eliminate them outright. Because they douse a few. They're still running after Kyle, Selena, and fucking Jim. And then they blow up a gas station, which was awesome. I'm like, do we have to blow up a gas station? No. Should we? Yes. Yes, we should. If you can blow up a gas station in your movie, RoboCop has taught us you should.
So going forward, like we talked about the hardest turns when Brendan Gleeson, the father, turns into one of the rage. He gets infected with the rage virus.
Yeah, they call me infected. Yeah.
Yep. But that's only the halfway of the movie, because then you have the other tier of survivors. And these are all like military schoolboys, which is led by Christopher Eccleston, the doctor.
The doctor. Revival doctor. He's
revival
not the first
doctor.
Just because he's the first doctor. And he was good.
First doctor.
Henry was a good character. Right. First doctor Modern Era. Dude, it's almost like this movie is like Dusk Till Dawn. You think it's one thing. Oh, no, I guess it's not diametrically opposed like that, but like you think this is just going to be run from zombies the entire time and get away and get to the chopper and get to the no. They hear the radio broadcast. That was the goal. The foursome's goal was to get to a checkpoint that the military was like, hey, radio beacons on every day at 12. Be here at this time for pickup. We have protection. Like, we can save you. We have the solution to the to infection. Well, as it turns out, the solution to infection is rebuilding. And that means chattel slavery, sex slavery, and mandatory military service for all the dudes. And maybe the other thing, I don't know, because those boys got a little rednecky for London, in my opinion, in a couple of them scenes. It's probably not an accident the apron was pink. Just throwing that out there.
There are a little bit of rednecky.
Ding, 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 ding. You know what I'm talking about.
There.
I don't know enough about England to pick the appropriate zone, so I'm not trying to offend anybody directly.
Yeah, I forgot the area where they come from, but there are some that you could definitely tell by their accent where they come from.
Every country's got them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's a people thing. So they get to the checkpoint. Brendan Gleeson turn. Jim has to put him down, which is brutal. It's agonizing watching it happen because you're the foreground is Jim putting him down. But the thing you're focused on that's in crystal clarity is Selena and Hannah just like sobbing it out.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, this isn't good. But the military's there. They just got there a little too late. They end up shooting Brendan Gleeson like 70 times.
That wasn't the military. That wasn't the true military. That was military schoolboys.
Yeah, but they're the military. They're who's left. I'm just saying the military. It's like
they're not
SAS, right? No, they're not SAS. I don't know. They bring them all back, and it looks good for like 3 seconds. High walls, minefields, machine gun turrets, hot water, food, dudes with guns like on the watch. And then very quickly, and I thought this was an excellent turn, the doctor, I'm just going to call him the doctor because whatever. So Doctor Who says, dude, what I was really offering people over that broadcast was like the rebuild. There's not really a cure because how the fuck could there be, man? The world ended. Like, we're just here to rebuild. And like a week ago, I found my second in command was about to shoot himself. And I figured to myself, it's because nobody has any hope. So what do a bunch of dudes with guns want more than anything in life? Women. Yeah, I'm sorry. So you brought me 2 of them. One of them is questionably underage. That was very uncomfortable to watch.
Yep.
Luckily, it didn't go too far, but the insinuation was enough. They made her dress the part. for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's that leading to some questionable stuff there. And Jim's like, nah, dog, we're not doing that. He tries to leave. They're like, okay, we're going to take him up back and shoot him, which was brutal. But then Jim enters like hero mode. And I remember thinking that was the weirdest part of the movie for me, man. What did you think of Jim's sort of abrupt John Wick change? John Wick before there was John Wick. Like, did you think that was cool? Like, did that work for you in the context of this movie or no?
I was thinking he was just running on adrenaline and trying to do what he needs to do. I don't think he was actually thinking about, like, he was trying to take them all down. He was just killing the ones that got in his way. If they were, his whole purpose, unlike John Wick, was to kill everybody in the building. His was to get to them, and whoever's in his way, he's willing to do what it takes. But the turn that he did on them, because you didn't tell them about the surprise that's in the basement. Their little pet.
Well, we can talk about that for sure. Let me just finish the combat scene there, though. We'll go back to other parts for sure. I like that Jim balanced animalistic rage in that scene because he put a few down brutal. He left one guy to get swarmed and died. He got the thumbs all up in the eyeballs on another dude. He did all kinds of gangster shit. He done dropped out of the rafters like Batman on one of them, like it was Arkham Asylum. And I'm like, dude, is he infected? Because when he finally succeeds and he gets to Selena's got the machete and he's all shirtless and covered in blood and all chest heavey like Jason Voorhees. And I'm like, maybe he did get infected. I don't know that shit. But then he didn't. So he's got that rage balance. But then he also had the good sense to, when he escaped the firing squad, to run back to the blockade and activate the air siren, which I love because what did that do? It pulled all the security guys out of the house.
Yep.
And them up real proper like a good solid snake move. Little base infiltration. What do? You set a distraction somewhere. How we do. So I like that. I thought that was a nice little bit of character slickness. Now, would a bike messenger think to do that? Maybe. I don't know.
You don't know his life.
Saying maybe he's a bike messenger after he got out. Maybe he's like Seagal from Under Siege. Like he was a bike messenger for like a 5-star general or something, but he had a special set of skills.
He's Jason Statham. He's just a working man.
Yeah.
Or just a working man.
What is he? A beekeeper, gardener,
mechanic.
At
least he has a job.
He's got in this economy.
Yeah, Jason Statham has a job. And there's always some point where he states his job. I'm just a beekeeper.
I'm just a union certified pipe fitter.
Yeah.
These movies.
I'm just a working man.
I just bag groceries at the Gas and Go.
Yeah.
I would watch that movie. Jason Statham's just over there bagging shit up at like a little shopping mart. Somebody tries to break into the safe, accidentally kills the manager. Now you're on the clock.
Yeah.
I would call it On the Clock. I would call that movie On the Clock. Or the On the Clock shared universe. That would work. But anyway, you wanted to talk about the surprise that was in the little courtyard. Yeah, that was a great scene. That was a great scare.
So in the courtyard, they take them out there to meet their pet. You're thinking dog. You're thinking cat. You might even think something that's out like a lion. Something that would be cool. No, they have an infected, chained up like he's a dog out there on the chain.
Private Anderson, their sergeant, I think, chained up by the neck.
Yeah,
in the laundry. He's just out there in like these rows of sheets. Like, why are we giving this thing cover? Yeah, why are we giving this thing concealment? What is the point of that? Oh, so you could scare the crap out of me when you watch him outside first and it just comes running through the sheet. And then clank. That was good. That was good. But dude, tell me, I think that's probably outside of the tunnel scene, right? The visual of that soldier's red eyes, especially for like the finale where he comes crashing through the windows and kills the first one of the human guards. The red eye, the rain behind him, the lightning. Like, that's some terrifying shit. Like, the visuals in this movie, when they wanted to get you, I think they got you every time.
Oh, yeah. Really the visuals for a low-budget film like it was really well shot. They did the best what they could with what they had, and they never missed a shot that didn't add another layer to the creepiness.
That's a great way to put it. Even when Jim and Selena were fighting their way up the 42 sets of stairs in the apartment building, and we saw them have to work to get over the barricade. You know what I mean? To get on the stairs. The infected are like, nah, dog. Like,
well, at first they couldn't get through. It took them for a while.
That's what I mean. Right. They had to work for it, but then when they're hoofing it up them stairs, had Brendan Gleeson not been there in riot gear to slow them down, they were toast. They were fucking toast. Yeah, so we already knew he was a good guy. So you're right. They effectively made you want people to survive in situations, and then they pick the one of the 4 to lose that was going to kick you in the nuts the most. They knew, mission accomplished. 28 days later, mission accomplished. But it does end on a hopeful note. And I guess I didn't give it enough credit, or I wasn't thinking about it until now. Like, they do escape the military base, even though West shoots Jim in the gut. They get a brief cut scene. It's a flash of Selena in a hospital working on him. Like, she's got supplies, she's patching the wound. Good luck. I don't know how she treated an abdominal gunshot wound with her skill set.
She was a nurse.
An ED doctor. Was she?
Yeah.
Did they ever say that?
Yep, they did.
Oh, cool. All right, then good. Then she'd be the one I'd want to work on me.
When he was like falling out and she's like, all you've had is sugar, you're crashing.
Yeah, but everybody knows that. I know that.
Not everybody.
I don't know. Anyway, but at least they explained it. He survives, and they're living somewhere in the country. It looks idyllic. It's green. They have like a house. They make it a point to showing us very well stocked shelves. There's food. There's like canned goods. He's pulling on a clean shirt. Everything looks okay. The girls are stitching together fabric. We don't know what it is, but then they hear a motor, and you're like, "Oh, cool!" And one of them says, "Oh, he's back! He's back!" They run outside. They're spreading out the big hello in all the sheets and drapes that they had, because he wakes up in his bed and he goes, "Oh shit, she took the drapes. She took the drapes too." And yeah, they see a plane or a chopper or whatever it is go by, and she's like, "Oh, so there." And it's a military. Oh, it's a military jet. Like, it's a fighter jet. So you're like, "Oh, so there is somebody out there," because they were like, "Oh, there's no fucking government. There's nothing."
Yeah. And then here again, you did see that it's a low budget film when they were doing the escape from the castle. Off in the background, you can see headlights driving by.
There's nobody left but us,
except for those two cars that just came by.
Might be an APC. I don't know. I don't know how zoomed in they were. Maybe it was just a tank.
It was probably the best shot they got, and they had no control over the road. So
I mean, there's a possibility. And I don't know how it works in the United Kingdom, like how it works here in the States. Like, they might have been guerrilla shooting some shit. Like, who knows? Like, they weren't obvious. They might not have had. I mean, no, they did have main streets shut down, right? For some, because not everything was a matte photo in the cities. There were a couple of good matte photos though. I miss those. I miss matte paintings in movies. Like, they add like a grainy kind of texture of things. I never mind. I mean, we grew up with them. I'm sure people like under 35 would probably not like them a whole lot, in movies, but I don't mind them. It's more real to me than CGI, of which this movie had like none.
Right? No, it didn't. They didn't have the budget for it.
Maybe the blood drop.
No,
got Brendan Gleeson in the eye. I think that was practical. They just dropped something, and then they had him in a different shot, looking up and reacting to it, kind of thing.
You had to see the drop hit his eye.
Yeah, no, you see it. You see it fall, and then you see him. I think he's looking up, and then I think he looks away for the react, like the wince.
He does
contact. Yeah.
Those.
So, yeah, no, so it worked for me. So any wrap up thoughts on 28 Days Later?
I think 28 Days Later is a watershed zombie movie, as it changes zombie genre once again, where we have a different type of zombie. We've seen the evolution of zombies. We've seen zombie by Voodoo, where it was anti-slavery type mentioning of the zombies. Then you had the undead. Then you had you had a lot of undead, and then Then you went into the living who are infected with virus, and now we're back to a control, but not controlled by voodoo, controlled by other things. This is one of those watershed movies that kind of changed what zombies look like, and then you can see it really good, and it even explains it well better in the book. World War Z is the fire ant zombies, where they kind of just climb all over each other just to do what they need to do. You saw a little bit of that in Train Busan, which we talked about. Go check that video out. We posted it 2 weeks ago, so go ahead and check that one out if you haven't yet. So, that's all I got to say about this one. It's a great movie. I would say go see it.
And I would agree with King Z, and I'm going to get out of here because I think we've talked about 28 Days Later enough, and we have other zombie things to talk about. So we will catch you guys in the next one.
That's roll my music in zombie.
I figured. Da, 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 da.